Welcome back to the Cross Border Interview Podcast. My name is Christopher Brown, the host, and we are here in the ballot box talking about one thing and one thing only: elections. Whether it be municipal, whether it be federal, whether it be provincial, whether it be leadership races like we're going to be talking about today. We talk about elections, elections, elections. And today, in studio, our third studio interview since the end of the quote-unquote pandemic, is the leadership candidate for the Independence Party of Alberta. I want to make sure I say that correctly because every time I'm about to say it, I'm about to say Alberta Independence Party, but it's the Independence Party of Alberta. Vicky Bayford. Vicky, thank you so much for doing this. Did I get your last name correct?
Yeah, Bayford.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It was the one interview question I didn't ask before this, so thank you.
No, thank you, and thanks for having me here. It's actually like a real honor, and I checked out the show before I came on, and you do some really good work, so I'm excited to be here.
Vicky, I gotta ask the first question. Where's your sense of duty to serve come from?
I think it was kind of bred into me. My family has always been I've just always had I would have to say, generous family. We've always helped each other out. We've always helped our neighbors out. Like, my dad was always that type of person who, was always helping our neighbors out, was always helping strangers out, always had a hand out, was just always available for people, and including his kids. So I think I just kind of naturally wanted to always help people. And then when this opportunity, I guess, came up this year, I just felt inclined that I do actually have a duty to help Alberta and get the message across about independence.
So just on that note, you are running for the leadership of the Independence Party of Alberta.
That's correct.
Talk to me about the Independence Party of Alberta. For those who are listening right now and might be listening later on, what is the Independence Party of Alberta?
The Independence Party of Alberta is the only true hardcore separatist party out there. Our only mandate is to leave Canada and create a new nation. We believe that Alberta is...
Oh, hold on. Oh. She has no audio. Can you move that microphone?
I sure can. This way?
How about now, Tim? Can you hear her?
Can you hear me? Test, test.
Tim, I just want to make sure. We're in a little bit of a delay here, so I apologize. How about now, Tim? Can you give us a check? Is the red light blinking?
No, it is not blinking. It's on.
Okay, it should be working. It says that you have audio levels here, but her volume is way too low. Okay.
Do you want me to play with this button?
No, we're good.
Okay.
It should be working. I boosted you up here a little bit, so let's see if that works. But let's talk about the Independence Party of Alberta again. So what is the Independence Party of Alberta again?
So we are a separatist party in Alberta. We believe in creating Alberta as a nation. We want to win an election and go to a referendum right away. And then in the meantime, also start building those firewall protections in the meantime until we can make this happen. Because we know this is it's going to be a big battle no matter what. And this is not going to happen quickly. But if the quicker we can win some seats and get into an election, the quicker we can get to a referendum and at least get the process going. We are the only true separatist party registered in Alberta. There is a couple other independence parties, but their constitution, their bylaws, they just more represent autonomy first. And let's again see if we can get a better deal within Canada, which we know, or our party believes, we will never get. And so that would be the key thing about our party that I would want people to know.
Let's talk about what an independent Alberta would look like to you. Yet again, I know it's a long road that we're going to have to travel here, but let's go along that road here, because I think people who would want to be listening to this and potentially want to vote for the Independence Party of Alberta would want to know, what does an independent Alberta look like to you?
To me, obviously, free. Number one, and that's probably the biggest reason I got involved in politics, is we need to get back to having a free, self-sufficient population of people that are not dependent on government. Now, that's not to say that, we don't need social programs and things like that. We obviously have a lot of vulnerable people in our province, and those people need to be taken care of. But we also have the youngest population in all of Canada, and there is no reason why, as an independent nation, we couldn't thrive. And I do believe it's the only way that we will thrive economically. Even when you start talking about healthcare, education, all those things, the money that we spend, or that we pay in taxes and goes to the east. We know we send $60 billion a year right now to the east, and we get $9 billion back. And we know if we got to keep that money here, there would be a lot of things that we could do differently, including paying off debt, fostering a good environment for a better healthcare system, better education system. And
one of the devil's advocate. And I playing devil's advocate in this show because I like to hear what politicians and candidates to become politicians have to say. To be devil's advocate, wouldn't it be harder for an independent Alberta to do things like build pipelines to the coast through BC if they were an independent country? Or, let's be honest, we have not had the best track record of building pipelines in Confederation, so it would be just the same.
Absolutely not. Actually, I think we would be at a better advantage to, get our resources out to market. We would have far more negotiating power. We would have a government that was actually willing to work to generate business for our industry, one of our main industries here. Right now, our government is working against us, and they're literally purposely shutting us down. The federal government is not helping us. Jason Kenney, in my opinion, he just writes really, mean letters and, very strong worded letters, and it gets us zero results. So I think as an independent nation, we would be able to negotiate better with our neighbors. I mean, we do supply the U.S. with a lot of resources, and I'm sure they don't want that partnership to end. We are blocking BC from the rest of Canada if they want their stuff to go through. And I mean, this isn't just to be like threatening, but really, I mean, do you not think of BC we would be in a far stronger negotiating place when we are basically blocking BC from the rest of Canada? Do you think they would not want to negotiate with us, Lamar? Plus, we supply a lot of natural gas to BC as well, and they need it just as much as we do. So
how do you change the perception of an independent Alberta? Because I think people are still potentially struggling with the idea of, should we separate, should we not separate? So how do you win people over and say, you know what, the best future for Alberta is an independent future? In the middle of June, I started traveling around Alberta. I started down south. And originally I started out with just a really simple 3 to 5 question survey, and I was literally just randomly stopping people on the street, going into small businesses, especially the mom and pop shops, and saying, my first question was always to them, what do you think about Alberta independence? And to tell you the truth, the initial response was, oh, well, that's pretty drastic, and I love Canada, I'm Canadian first, things like that. Those are the typical first response. But when you start talking, actually having conversations with people, and you start saying, okay, so what is the solution to stay in Canada? What is it? What kind of government can we get into power that can negotiate with our federal government and get us? And when you start talking to people like that, then they start realizing that, we are pretty powerless. And I mean, it sucks to say it, but it's just the truth. It is what it is. I mean, even when we had Stephen Harper as Prime Minister, I mean, I'm not saying he did anything bad. He did a great job, but he also did not work for Alberta. He was working for his next term. You literally just made me cross it. The one question I had almost prepared to ask you was Stephen Harper. to follow up on that, though, to follow up on the conversations that you have with the mom and pop shops, the business leaders, the people who say, hey, I love Canada. And I mean this with all respect. Do you love Canada?
I did.
What happened?
2015, Trudeau came in. And I mean, there was obviously problems before that. But the thing was, Alberta was still functioning. And I think, most of us have been under this haze even prior to Trudeau, because this started long before Trudeau. Trudeau's just a symptom of a broken system. But because we were flourishing, I think Albertans were okay giving away their $50-60 billion a year because we were doing okay. And our economy was still thriving, and we were able to do our business and live successfully here. So I don't think we really minded very much. And unfortunately, it's been going on. I mean, you can go through history and see all the times where the separation movement has gotten really popular and then it's dropped. But this time, I think it's way different than any other time in history, because there's just no going back and there's no fixing the damage that's been done. But yeah, I did love Canada. And then, like I said, Trudeau came in, and then, the industry that I've worked in my whole life has been decimated. And the future policies that you can even see already, even if Peter O'Toole wins, I mean, there's still
Aaron O'Toole.
Aaron O'Toole. Sorry, thank you.
Peter MacKay, Aaron
O'Toole, whatever. They're all the same. No. Sorry, Aaron O'Toole. But even if O'Toole wins, I mean, there's still a carbon tax. There is still nothing that is going. They are all anti-West policies. There is no federal government that I can see out there that's truly gonna help Alberta.
I find that interesting because the Conservatives just released their party's platform today. In it, they have a page and a half dedicated to just Quebec. Just Quebec. And then Western alienation and transparency to bring Alberta back. In the Conservative platform is a paragraph, if 2 paragraphs long. It is not that long if you look at it. The Conservatives have just given up the fact that they have to campaign in this province. When you're crisscrossing this province, when you're talking to voters, when you're talking to the party membership, are you hearing from former Conservatives, former Liberals who are just fed up with the party politics that's happened in Ottawa? And they're saying, you know what? You vote Conservative, you vote Liberal, no matter what, at the end of the day, you get the same shit.
Yeah, well, it's I mean, actually, the same phrase keeps coming up, it's like the different sides of the same coin, I mean, they have to pander for their votes in the East, and that's just the way the system was set up right from the beginning. I mean, like I said, the system's been broken right from the beginning. The only thing is that Albertans are hardworking. I mean, even our culture here is different, right? Our culture, we were built differently. We were built from hardworking immigrants and the Indigenous people that lived here, the traders and the hunters. All these people came here, and it wasn't easy work. They didn't come here and have, like the elites did in the East. I mean, they did. They all came from royalty or, that kind of society that British.
So are you taking a page out of the Bloc Québécois, the Parti Québécois book? Because they have gotten more autonomy. They have gotten more since their 82 referendum, their 95 referendum, and saying enough is enough. Alberta just can't be treated this way for the rest of their lives, because the Bloc, the Quebec felt that way for a while, and they said we're going to hold a referendum, and look what happened. They're getting every party throwing money left, right, and center at them, and Alberta is now getting the sort of money taken away from them.
It's an interesting question because, I mean, I'm actually glad Quebec did do what they did, because they did lay the groundwork. I mean, the Clarity Act still is not very clear, but at the same time, at least it laid a foundation of something we can follow until we can't. At least we can start the route somewhere and then see where it takes us and see if that can get us our independence. But at the same time, our party doesn't want just autonomy. I mean, we are obviously going to probably at least try and get a firewall set up if we can win, and make sure that we have our own police service, that we have our own tax center. Like,
understandable, but setting up an own independent country there's a lot of money that you're going to have to put into there. Defense, healthcare will all have to come from the people who are in the province or the new country.
Yeah.
Police force, like you said. I know Jason Kenney wants to move from the RCMP to Alberta Police Force like in Ontario. But how do you envision paying for it? Because this is a lot of money that the province will have to fork out right away. And yet again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, absolutely.
I love playing devil's advocate. But how do you envision paying for it when even Jason Kenney and the smartest economists will say, we're flat broke right now, and we are going further and further in debt?
Right now, because, they're printing money like it's going out of style. I know. You know what? The key thing is just keeping our taxes here. Like, one of the first things we're going to have to do is actually set up, we're going to have to stop sending money to the east. Everything's going to have to get collected here, and then we'll decide what goes back east until we can separate. We're going to have to probably make some hard decisions. And obviously, we want to run a fiscal, we want to be fiscally responsible. And I mean, there is going to have to probably be some type of sacrifice. Who knows on what that will be in, but that's one of the things that we'll leave up to Albertans to decide. And hopefully by then we have those experts in place that want to step in and say, okay, here's the plan. Because, I will never say I'm a brilliant economist or anything like that, but there are a lot of brilliant people out there and a lot of brilliant people in Alberta that can make this work. And like I said, if we can stop sending that money down east and we can start taking power over that money and deciding what's going to happen with it, that in itself will be huge for Alberta. And I mean, we're not going to be able to just say, we're not sending any money back east at first, until we actually become independent and we get those things. And like I said, this is a long, hard, fought out battle. And I mean, what it really looks like, it's hard to say. But I mean, the key thing is we have to get to a referendum. That's our only focus right now. I mean, thinking about all the policy stuff, I mean, it's important, and we do have to think about it, especially once, we get into power. But before then, really, we just have to focus on getting into power and spreading that message to Albertans that this is the way forward, because we can do it. We have all the resources we need. We have probably one of the most well-educated populations, youngest population. I mean, I just don't see any disadvantages to becoming separate for myself personally.
We are in 2021. 2019 was the last provincial election. The Independence Party of Alberta did run a significant slate of candidates in the last election. What is your goal if you become leader in this leadership race for the next election? Is it a full slate of 87 candidates, or is it 60 candidates, or what is your vision to ensure that people have the opportunity to vote? Because while it's a long, hard battle, and I understand that you're openly admitting that, what is a win in the first election for you? Is it electing 2 or 3 MLAs? Is it electing 1? What is a win for you?
Well, ideally, obviously, I would like to win all 87. No, I would. You know what? Honestly, I know our goal is to at least get 87 candidates running. But at the same time, we also want to, there are other independence parties out there. We know that. And, I'm not saying one way or the other. I mean, I haven't talked to Paul Hinman. I haven't talked to, some of these. I actually know, Marilyn Burns, she runs AAP. And even though they're not technically an independence party, I know that they want to possibly, make that change in their party. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But, with these other groups, it would be really nice, to find this unity between our groups, and at least, when we get to an election, let's look at what we have and who the candidates are for all the independence parties, and maybe come to some type of handshake agreement that, if maybe they have a better candidate, maybe we run those people instead. But the main goal is to get independence for this. I mean,
clear.
For me personally, it is the most important thing that we can do for this province.
It is going to be a while. It is not a one election thing that you're trying to accomplish here.
No.
Are you ready to lead this party for the long haul? Because, like you said, it is not a election, like we've just agreed, it's not a one election issue. This is going to be 2, 3, potentially even 4 elections to win a potential, even like get people even talking about it. Because the voter apathy in this province, I think, is so ridiculous that I just can't believe that we only have 50% of the population who votes in this province, but that's here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get that out? How do you get people to say, you know what, we need to get people involved. We need to get out there and talk to people, because this is going to be a long haul solution for us. And we need to start today, not 4 years from now, not 2 years in 2023 when the next election is supposed to be called, but today.
So sorry, that was a long question.
I want to know, how do you start this movement today? How do you start it today?
You start door knocking, and we do need the volunteers. I mean, right, like today we have to start educating people about the benefits of separation. That's it. We just have to show them that this is the way. We have to show them that if you're voting NDP or UCP, you're basically voting, again, same coin, different sides of the coin. You are going to vote for either Federalist Party, well, like, even though they're provincial, but they
Let's be honest, Jason Kenney wants to go back to Ottawa.
He does. Yeah, of course he does. And I would if I was him too. So
once Aaron O'Toole steps down, he'll be the next leader.
Exactly. So
But I understand you need to door knock, and that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. But how do you do that when people are just...
You know what? I think...
or am I just reading it wrong?
No, I think you're right. The apathy in Canada, period. Like, forget Alberta, but in Canada is terrible. But I do believe, like, there is a lot of spirited and passionate people, including myself, that really want independence. And there's a lot of people getting ready to, even put some dollars behind this. And, getting those signs out there. I mean, the biggest thing, obviously, is going to be fundraising because, hey,
I'll give you money for buttons.
Yeah, right?
Hey, so I can have one.
Yeah, there you go. But, getting those buttons out, getting the bumper stickers, and then, the big billboards. And like currently right now, I've been traveling the province since the middle of June. I have my big decal on my motorhome that I drive around with. And try to show off our party stuff, but yeah, like it's gonna be a snowball. Like it's right now we're small and we're kind of rolling and we're getting things moving, but I do believe that we can get out there and get the message out, and I think we just have to find that right spot with these apathetic voters that really fires them up. And I mean, and without being negative, because my problem with politics has always been, the attacking, right? Like, I mean,
so and so's done a bad job.
Because of this,
the Willy
and this
Wonka ad that the Conservatives just put out on Twitter.
Thank you. Those are the things. Why aren't you focusing on the real issues that are going on in a positive spin? Show me, and this is what actually I hear a lot, even from our own party members. Because even, sometimes we'll put out like a little bit of a negative kind of, attack on somebody, just because that's just politics. And sometimes you are just angry and you're just like, and, you put a post out and people are like, rather than bitching out on that person, why aren't you telling me what you're going to do for me? Like, prove to me how you're going to make a change.
You've just stolen my heart because I am sorry. I agree wholeheartedly with your membership. The attacks are stupid. Mm-hmm. They don't do anything to move. Okay, they're Twitter folly for about 20 minutes, and then people have forgotten it. How are you going to help me? How are you, the leader of your party or the leadership candidate for your party, going to help me, the average citizen who's sitting in their basement? I shouldn't say sitting in their basement because that makes me sound like I'm a troll. Going on Twitter. But who is trying to make a productive life for himself and his partner and his life here in his home. How are you going to help me? How are you going to ensure that, hey, I get my fair healthcare system. I get my, like, if I call 911, someone is going to show up. That's what I want to know. And I think that's what the average Albertan wants to know.
Exactly. And, and I think, like you said, we can't, go too far into the details of what those policies actually look like, because we're just way too far away from that. We have ideas, and we definitely have a lot of great ideas. Like on our website, we have our party program, and it outlines a lot more about, our healthcare instead of sick care policies, and our gun policies and things like that they're important to Albertans, because people want to have the ability, especially in rural Alberta, to be able to protect themselves and things like that. We do have a lot of these policies drawn out, but without getting into too much detail, this is how we see it, and this is what we want for Alberta, and this is how we want to help you. But you need to help us get there, and that's, but like you said, we just have to get a lot more positive, and we do have to come up with a lot more solutions than more problems.
We are nearing the 30-minute mark, and I just want to make sure that the people who are watching, we are sitting down with the leadership candidate for the Independence Party of Alberta, Miss Vicky Bayford. Vicky, I want to ask one last set of questions, and we'll wrap up here. You are taking on a responsibility, if you are the successful candidate in this election, to crisscross this province. You and I both know that this province is a very diverse province. We are sitting in the northeast part of Calgary right now. You are from the center part of Calgary, if not the northwest area. Yeah. So it is a very diverse province. And again, we're just from Calgary, and it's a diverse city. How do you connect with everyone? How do you ensure, because people, and I'm talking about immigration here, and this is going to be a big one, and I apologize. I did not prepare you for this at all, but it is a topic that I want to talk about. Is immigration is one of the, you talk to people who have immigrated from other countries to Canada, and they say Canada's a great place. Do you talk to people who have immigrated to Canada, and are they saying Canada is not what I expected? What are you hearing from people who are not truly born Canadian or Albertans?
I mean, I actually have to be honest about, like, I haven't done a whole lot of stuff in Calgary or Edmonton yet, and for the most part, that's where the bigger part of our immigration population is. And but I do have a very wide, diverse set of friends, and to be honest, my ex-husband was Cuban. I actually sponsored him to come to Canada. It didn't work out, but I've been through the process. I understand what it is, and I have lots of Latin friends. I used to do salsa dancing, and yeah, I know, right?
Let's do it. My husband will come with us.
Yeah, oh, that's excellent. I love it. So I'm like, so we, obviously a lot of my friends from the Latin community, they've shared their experiences with me, and there are a lot of problems with our system in a lot of ways for them and for us. So, you have, someone who comes with a really good skill set, doctors, lawyers, people that even worked in their industry for 20 years, or in their field for 20 years. They come to Canada, their degree's worth nothing. They basically have to redo all of their school, not a portion of it, not write some exams. They have to redo all their schooling, even though they were a surgeon for 25 years, and like, we let them come in because they were a skilled worker, but then they have to go deliver pizza or drive Uber. I mean, it's just...
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's nothing, obviously. But, if you have someone with that skill set and you're wasting that skill set, especially when we're screaming for doctors and we're screaming for certain skill sets in this country, why wouldn't you make it easier? So there's a lot of things in that way that I know we can, like, so much room for improvement, and I know we could do way better.
I want to talk about the elephant that is in the room as well, COVID-19. This has changed the name of the game for people across this province, and we have been in lockdown, we have been not in lockdown, we have been out of lockdown, we've been partially in lockdown, we've been in part of the province in this area is in a lockdown, other provinces aren't. How would a independent Alberta have done it differently?
As much as I don't approve of how things were handled here, I can't imagine being in government when this did first come down with the messaging that was taking place. But then I look at other leaders across the world and different ways that they took the approach, once they realized, the severity or lack of severity or however you want to take it. I am a very hardcore anti-lockdown person. I be very blunt about that, and I'm not apologetic about it at all. I broke my wrist about 3 weeks after we got locked in and went to an empty hospital. Had talked to the nurses and doctors, and that was before they were being shushed. And they were very blunt with me and saying, yeah, we've been bored. We haven't seen anything, and I was like, so obviously at that point I started questioning things and started finding some stuff out for myself and just using my own eyes, using my own ears, observing what was actually going on. And I don't need to be a doctor for someone to tell me if something's super deadly or not deadly. I'm sorry, I don't. And anyway, I think if we'd had some common sense and stop letting these, big pharma or whoever's pulling the strings, take away their power and not let them do that, I think we would, as a smaller, if we were an independent country right now, we would have had far more say. And with the amount of letters and angry people in Alberta that were losing their businesses, not getting the health care they required because they were afraid to go to the hospital, all these other mental health issues, all these other things that came up because of these measures that they put in place, I think Alberta as an independent country would have responded way differently. I think we would have probably had a way more measured approach. We probably may have listened to someone like, I can't remember his name right now.
The doctor down in the States?
Well, him, and then there was that colonel that used to be our emergency person.
Yeah, I forget his name.
I can't think of his name right now, but he interviewed with Daniel Smith. And honestly, he had a great idea. If seniors are the people that are vulnerable to this, that are more vulnerable to getting sick and dying from this, but nobody else is, or very few, then why aren't we, putting nurses on shifts and not letting them work with the elderly unless they've been, they've quarantined for 2 weeks and they're 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. He had really great ideas. Anyway, but no one would listen to Colonel Redmond, I think is his name.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Anyway, but he had really great ideas to this, and we looked at Florida. Look at the senator in Florida,
Mark Rubio.
Yeah,
Marco Rubio.
Yeah. He did an amazing job handling this, and now their country their state is doing so well. Same with Texas. They're fully open. I have a cousin that lives out in Texas.
Alberta's fully open.
Yeah.
We're sitting together.
We are right now.
I wanted to talk about your leadership because we could probably talk about policy for the rest of the day, but I want to talk about your leadership. You are running for the leadership of the Independence Party of Alberta. How can people reach out, get involved, reach out to you, get involved, and buy membership?
So you can go to our website, which is www.abindependence.com. You can send an email to Vicky, Vicky.Bayford, Bayford, at ab-independence.com. Or you can even, if you just want to send a general email to the party, it's comms@ab-independence.com. Yeah, definitely get in touch. You can find me on Facebook. It's pretty easy. On Facebook, actually, yes, you're right. So my real name actually is Victory.
It's
actually my real name. So my Facebook actually says Victory Bayford, not Vicky Bayford. So I do have my main profile, which is Vicky, and then my leadership campaign page is Victory Bayford. And you'll say TIP leadership or something like that.
For my listeners and to my viewers, the link to Victory's leadership, the website for the Independence Party of Alberta, her Twitter, her email, her Facebook page are all in the show notes below. They will be in the show notes for the audio version as well that comes out tomorrow, which if you're listening it to tomorrow, it's today. Victory, Vicky, I want to thank you so much for doing this. This has been fun.
Yeah, thank you.
For those who, like I said, want to get a membership, what's the website for the party?
That was the AB Independence.
Oh, that was the okay. I apologize.
I didn't make my own website. I was like, that's just more work. and I basically kind of help manage the website anyway for the party, so I see pretty much everything that kind of comes through.
Awesome. Yet again, my name is Christopher Brown. I've been sitting with Vicky for the last 40 minutes, almost 40 minutes. Get out and vote if you've liked what you've heard over the last 40 minutes. Go buy a membership. The link is in the show notes below. Please, 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 please. I keep on saying this and I will hark this until I die. Get involved. Your voice matters. Elections matter. Leadership races matter. And at the end of the day, we need people to step up, get involved, and do what Vicky is doing right here, and talking to people and getting a conversation starting, because we all have beliefs in this country, in this province. We all need to start advocating for them. Vicky, I want to thank you so much for doing this. This has been a pleasure, an honor, and I wish you the best in the leadership race.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for making this so easy, because I was like really nervous before I got here. So
you did fantastic. Anyway, guys, we will be back at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock to recap the biggest news stories from the election. And I can tell you right now, it is going to be a long hour, because we're going to be talking about the Conservative platform, which I have some comments about the Quebec section of that the platform. So please tune back in at 7 o'clock. And from me, for Vicky, thank you so much for doing this. For everyone else, have yourself an excellent rest of the day if I don't hear from you at 7. Talk to you later, guys.